Good day and welcome back to Elementary 72 Gaming. Now this is my review for Tower of God Season 2 Episode 4. Now I am very worried about things with the tower at the moment and the way it's pacing, but I'm gonna leave that for the spoilers. So if y'all are fans of wanting to know where my concern is coming from, you can follow the spoilers. In the last episode I explained what I was worried about, but let's get back into this episode. So this episode starts off with Kun Aguero Agnes, and yeah, this is where things go a bit crazy because there's a lot to talk about with Kun. Now the first thing we see is Kun talking to, actually he's reliving the past a little bit, and then we see him talking to Apple on the phone, and Apple is one of his teammates from his team. We were introduced to her. She's the scout light bearer, so she uses a lighthouse as a scout, so she's kind of unique in that way. She can scout information really efficiently. So she was talking about the fact that a E-ranked regular drew with a ranker. Now just for the sake of explaining this, I'm just going to do a little bit of maths, but here we go. So each floor of the tower has a different pressure of Shinsu, and going up in the first few floors, that pressure isn't really that crazy, but as you start to reach higher floors, the pressure gets heavier and heavier, and it actually pins you down and slows down your motion. So if we have to count where they are on the 20th floor, and if we remember what happened when Leroro did it to a regular, it started bleeding from how heavy it was, and that is like about 10 to 20 times the stress your body can handle in a matter of minutes. That's a day's worth in minutes. So yeah, it gets crazy. So if we take it as them being on the 20th floor and there being 130 floors in the tower, that will mean it's something like 6 times the power, right? So 6 times the density of Shinsu on the higher floor, and that would mean that they need 6 times the reserves to make it through a day. That would also mean that they would need 6 times the stamina to withstand it, and they would require 6 times the fortitude to handle that. That makes it about 1,296 times a 20th floor regular's power. That is what a ranker looks like. Now when we describe these, we're not talking about run of the mill, we're not talking about Wagner, we're talking about a ranker, a regular who's a little bit more powerful. We're talking about the ranks of around Huryang or Arc Raptor. So we're talking about a solid 10k power. And if we compare them to someone like Balm, we're talking about 14 times their power. The stronger regulars are stronger, and therefore they'll be about double the other regulars or even triple, but Balm is 14 times stronger straight up. So if we have to take this here as what it was looking like from that first test, the ranker saw his power and he was like, yeah, he's not going to be that much of a threat for me, and that was the whole basis on why Love thought that it wasn't going to be a problem. The other thing is that Love did hold back. He didn't try to kill Balm straight away. Balm and Viola are synonymous with each other. We know they're the same person. It's basically been exposed 100%, so yeah, we know what's going on. Okay, so let's go on to the next part of talking about these two little sections that make a big problem come to light. Balm tying with the ranker. Now the ranker has a power level, as I said, that is about 1,269 times their regulars, and Balm is about 14 times more powerful. So obviously it's not going to be 1,000 times Balm. It's going to be like about 200 to 300 times Balm in power. But there's a catch to all of this here. Balm wasn't going all out during the test, and the reason we know that is because he managed to draw against Mew Love. Now I did think of trying to draw analogies with shows like Dragon Ball and Jujutsu Kaisen, but you know what, everybody uses them for reference and everybody totally messes it up because, to be honest, people try to make them different energy systems, but they're the same energy system for most of the part, and it makes it really difficult to say anything against it. But let's go with what we're talking about right now. So Balm fighting Love shows that he is on this level. He is about a thousand times more powerful than the other regulars on the floor, and that makes him sorry that makes him a monumental threat. So yeah, he can draw with them, he can have a fight with them on equal footing. Definitely not someone you want to mess with. And then we move on to the next part where we get Iran Dan walking into the shop. Now he is there to catch sweet fish or sweatfish for Kun. Now they're a special type of fish in the tower. They have some uses. I don't know the exact uses of them, or if I do, I'm acting like I don't. Right? I'm just saying that there. And Dan is one of the few people who can actually catch them because they're really, really hard to catch. They only available for a small period of the year when you can catch them easily, and that's still difficult. But Dan can catch them even off season, which just shows how ridiculous he is in terms of power. Kun is somebody who is very strategic in choosing who he's taking with him, and the reason for his team is he has separated Rachel from the team climbing up ahead. The reason is he doesn't want to kill Balm's precious friends. That is Hats, Shibisu, Anak, Enderossi, and the rest of the team there. There's Laure, there's a few of the others as well on that team, but he doesn't want them to get caught in the mayhem that's going on. That is why he is climbing on his own. That's how come you don't have any rock with him. He's literally cut off his heart to protect his heart. It's kind of a horrible thing to do, but yeah, that's exactly what he did. So moving on, we then get the whole predisposition about getting members for his team, and he's picking the top best that he can get. And we see that Iran Dan is one of the fastest E rank regulars. He hasn't been caught on a lighthouse up to the 20th floor, the 25th floor, if I'm correct, or the 22nd, whatever it is. But you have to understand that this here means something substantial. Remember what I was talking about in that power scaling? Just moving up floors once you've already gone up to the 20th floor means that the next floor pins you down a lot more. So even with that slow down from the floors below, he has managed to keep up with his pace so that he can't get caught on their lighthouses, so they can't use them as security cameras to notice when he is showing up, because he is that fast. And they have decided they're going to recruit him onto Kun's team. So he isn't going to choose to go to any team. He even says that he doesn't intend to do it, and then Kun makes him the offer with the suspendium. Now the suspendium is ridiculously expensive, and just showing it makes this guy forget about his stance on no going up. So he agrees to it, and he says, fine, right, you can do it. And then Kun lies to him, obviously the first lie, exactly like the story. Then he runs into the back. Now Kun could have caught him. It is a possibility that Kun could have caught him, but Kun decided he doesn't want to go that way. The reason is he wants to see just what Iran Dan does. He wants to see whether he is the person he thinks he is. Because remember, he's testing everything about this person all in one go. And he falls right into the plan, meaning that Kun didn't have to exert himself and try to catch him at a ridiculous rate. Because we know that Kun is very fast. He is ridiculously fast. He is comparable to, well, a scout. And it's at this point that he gets ambushed with the trank in the neck, exactly like the story. He wakes up in the village. Novik gives him the exact same story. They talk about what happened with Rachel, and that he mustn't talk about them as lovers, and he mustn't show a finger like that there to say that they're together, because he'll lose the finger. Because he knows that Kun hates Rachel, because Kun has broken it down to the team that they are there to help Rachel climb and protect her, but they must never get attached to her, because if they get attached to her, there will come a time when they need to kill her. And if they are attached, they're not going to be able to complete their duty and kill her. That is what they are there for. They are both her guardians and her assassins at the same time. That's exactly the speech he gives. And then he explains his ambition is to become the next family leader. Now, the family leaders can grant wishes to a certain extent, similar to the administrators, but it's a whole special situation with them, and it's because of the contracts that they have. So that is something way more weird, and it is a little bit spoiler-ish, but we already knew that the 10 great families have already climbed to the top of the tower and they have contracts for immortality, right? And we know that this is part of their contracts, so I'm just going to leave it at that. Okay, moving on to the next part of all of this insanity. We then end up with the whole team fight and placement, and we get told about the top 10 E rank regulars. Now, the top 10 E rank regulars, these are the people who are guaranteed in that list: Anak, Ender, Rossi, Hats. Right? Those are three. Ran is one of the possibilities, and Novik. Right? So those are the 5 in the top 10. And the top 5, we know that Ran is in the top 5, so he's between 1 and 5. And Rossi and Anaka in the top 5 as well, so we know 3 of that top 5. We don't know whether Novik fits into that category. We don't know whether Hats fits into that category, so they're just top 10 E rank regulars. Then we'll drop down to a little bit of a lower rank, and we'll say that there's the other 5 who we don't know. But we know that Jovial Grace is most probably in that classification of power. So he is a possibility for one of the top 5 E rank regulars and top 10 E rank regulars. So it is a possibility that he falls into that section, and that leaves 4 unknowns for us. So basically, it's a little plot that we have to keep track of as they fill it in. Okay, so moving on to the next killer piece of information that's dropped. The next piece of information that gets dropped to us is when we finally get back to Balm's team. Now, there is a little bit of comic that was left out of this here. The reason I'm calling this a comic in a manhwa is because there's a little bit of jokes made about how Arc Raptor tried to get a place near a school district so that they could get Miseng to a school, and how Yuan Yua wanted to get a nice fancy place in a well built up area, and we know that Wagner just wanted a cheap place where he can get food and he can live comfortably near the outer edges of the area. And then Viol just buys up the place, and that is how they ended up living together. That is the story of it, and they all just stick together as Team Sweet and Team Sweet and Sour. Sorry about that, my words got lost on me there. So that is the whole story about how they reach that point. Then moving forward, Yuan actually put a tracker in Balm's pocket. Now the tracker has to have the consent of the user, so Balm consented to it, and he is allowing her to track him. And he is also paying for his own being tracked, so that she can track him whenever she wants. Now, there was a meeting that she went for, and we didn't get to see this here, but when she went and she spoke to a family member spoke about the Slayer candidate and his nasty teammates. So they have a rumor going on about them that they're these bloodthirsty hooligan teammates who will kill you, and they'll rob you, and all these bad rumors going around about Balm and his team. And we move on from this here, and she gets back to the apartment, and when she's talking to them, she finds out that Balm is out on his own and nobody is following him, so she gets upset and she goes after him. And Wagner does fire quite a bit of shade on her, should I say. He insults her cooking ability because her cooking ability is trash. He insults the way in which she behaves, which is something else altogether. And he even compliments Balm because Balm does his share of the chores, he does his share of the cooking, and he's even better than Yuan. So basically, he is a more versatile member even outside of the test. He's really useful. And Yuan is literally at the bottom of the rank in this team. Even though she's very powerful, she is out of control with the flame, so she'll hurt her own teammates, so she's not an asset in a fight. She is incapable of doing chores, so she's no use in housework or care for the team. So she's literally the most useless. Miseng and Goaseng actually have functions. Goaseng is a light bearer, she can actually do something. Prince is a light bearer, he can do something. Arc Raptor is some sort of fisherman spear bearer, somewhere in those ranks, so he can do something. Huryang is another fisherman spear bearer, he can do something. Um, Wagnan is, I'm not sure exactly what he is, but I believe he is a scout, so he can actually do something for the team. And Yiwa is a fisherman who can't fight. So yeah, that's kind of the worst position to be in. She's just a carrier along with her power. And yes, her power is crazy and can help you pass a test. But if you're anywhere near her, she's going to hurt you as well. So we've got all of this for this entire team composition. And that is what we get for that point. Then we get to see the whole Thug story, and she finds out about who's been giving the bad name to the Slayer candidate. And it's these thugs who are using his rumor to grow their own name and their notoriety. At this point, we see that Balm walks in on these thugs and he sorts out the problem over there. And then Yua catches up and she sees exactly what happened. And with all of this here, we see Waryun is there. Waryun is the guide who meets him at the last scene in Tower of God. So yeah, that's the whole thing that we got until that point. We'll wait until the next episode. When the next episode comes around, there's going to be a lot to discuss. And the other thing that I've been worried about for a long time has been the pacing. I'm really worried about what happens in the next 3 or 4 episodes because there's a lot of important things. And I'm wondering if they're going to skip some important parts. So catch you all in the next one. Have a good day.